Hey guys, Jeremy Wells here. Gonna do a video on wrist angles, kind of what they mean, what they lead to in the swing, especially in transition from backswing to downswing. The more I teach, the more I realize that this moment from left arm, or excuse me, for Phil, right arm parallel in the backswing to right arm parallel on the downswing, is pretty much where you make your money. So, Phil is Phil. The guy is unbelievably good, world class, but he has some goofiness going on in his swing. Like a lot of players, he has a cupped wrist at the top of his swing. Now, what he does that others don't is he keeps it that way. So you see well into his downswing, this wrist is what I would call cupped or extended. What goes right along with that is a shaft that always stays steep of the plane. So this is a very kind of pull down looky move. If he wasn't so darn good, he wouldn't be able to manage this, but he can. So you can see, this wrist is still cupped. Now he's starting to flatten it out. I'd say it's still a hair cup, but he's starting to turn it down, and then right into impact, he rotates that glove hand so hard that his left hand actually comes totally off the grip. So he's able to work this out. The guy's a magician, has some of the best hands in the world, but that's how those angles can be important. Now, if we go on the other end of the spectrum, we have Brooks Koepka. Very shut club face on the way back, bowing his left wrist early, keeping it that way at the top. Okay, so in transition, he's actually going to increase that flex. Club shaft is going to shallow, meaning go from pointing like so to here. And it makes it a lot easier to square the face onto the ball because you already have that thing turned down. So all you got to do is just rotate through out of the way and keep the integrity of those angles the same. For me in my teaching, that's definitely what I prefer. Makes it a lot easier to manage. Not everybody can sit here like Ben Hogan and work a cupped left wrist at the top. Whoa, sorry, glitch. Not everybody can sit here like Ben Hogan and work a cupped left wrist at the top. Darn computer. All right, last try. Not everybody can sit here like Ben Hogan and work a cupped left wrist at the top into a fully turned down left wrist at the bottom. That takes a dramatic, change in order to do so and to square the face. For my students, I like to teach, and the newer player, if you just set the wrist flat at the top, or even try to bow it some, that squares the face earlier, makes it easier to manage. Perfect example of that, kind of the overdone example, would be Dustin Johnson. You're going to see this wrist angle that basically nobody else can pull off. Super bowed. See his right arm is laid, right wrist is really laid back, and now he's got to rotate like crazy to hit it. Got to also understand, most people want more speed, and the easier way to get more speed is to get your wrist and your club face in a more shut position, especially not an open position. So you got to be really speedy with your legs to get them out of the way in time to delay the face enough so it won't close. And there you go. So that's just a little bit on the importance of these wrist angles. All things the same, the more square the club is at the top, the less you're going to have to manipulate it on the way down and around impact. The more open it is at the top, the more cupped that wrist is early in the downswing, especially. The opposite of Johnson. The more flippy you're going to have to be, and the more you're going to have to manipulate the thing through the hit. I can just show you a couple more little examples here. Let's go with TW. Great example of neutral wrist angles here. If I zoom in even. Super flat left wrist, face is under control. So these are kind of a combination of, you got to keep your grip in mind. If Tiger's grip was super strong and he flattened it at the top, his face would be shut like Johnson's almost. Now Tiger had a weaker grip, so he flattens the wrist. Club line's dead up with it. Bryson DeChambeau, new kid on the scene, has a bowed wrist at the top, and his club face is probably a little more open than Tiger's because he has a super weak grip. But if you can get your wrists in a good shape at the top to where the face is on line or even shut, just a hair, that gives you incentive to rotate your body instead of slowing down around impact so you can square the face. That's wrist angles. That's my take. I think it's a very, very, very important part of the swing. And the rest of your golf swing kind of revolves around the face. So if you get it right early on, it makes it a lot easier to keep it the same later and to square it at impact. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.